Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is openings. How do we cultivate openings of heart and mind that open us to new potentials, to new ways of seeing and feeling and thinking and experiencing life? So it should be a fun conversation. Before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together, feel the tickling, the tingling, the pressure, sensation, temperature, all that motion, all those sensations, allow them to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Good morning, Robin. So good to have you here with us, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us today. So today we're talking about openings and how can we generate and catalyze openings to these new potentials, new possibilities of being and experiencing. So I have spoken with you on other occasions about Carol Sanford, who is really is a thought leader, who is responsible for a lot of the thinking and the frameworks behind or bringing forward all those things behind regenerative practice, regenerative business, the whole notion of regeneration. And so I joined her school, and I've been engaging in some conversations with people as part of that program. And I joined it because I have a commitment to learn to truly think in a generative way, rather than what they call thoughting. In other words, kind of replaying, reiterating patterns of automatic thinking. And so in speaking about openings, what I'm wanting to discuss with you is how can we generate new thought, openings for these new experiences. And so it was interesting because yesterday we did an exercise where we were having a conversation and also self-observing. And when we self-observe, we can start to recognize some of our predispositions, some of our patterns. So the idea was not just to have a conversation about something. First of all, the conversation itself was somewhat provocative in that it was talking about different levels of being, talking about intellect, let's see, instinctual or intuition, and body. So kind of body, mind, and spirit in a way. And looking at how our conversations or our interactions are driven from these different arenas. So we might be stuck in our heads or stuck in our bodies or stuck in our hearts, or we might be having a beautiful synergy of these different experiential levels that create a whole of richer communication. So the idea was kind of creating a conversation as well as a meta conversation. So the meta conversation is looking at it from like being an observer of yourself in a situation where you're trying to already be conscious. So it's an interesting exercise, and it creates opening for a new way of thinking or a new way of perceiving. Like if I recognize here I am engaged in this conversation and I'm noticing that I'm really tense in my body and I'm starting to feel activated and agitated, then we can recognize, oh, okay, I got triggered about something, and that's impeding my ability to interact with it in the way that I would like to. And if I can recognize that in the moment, then perhaps I can breathe, or I can acknowledge that that's what's going on, and it might give me enough perspective to be able to recalibrate and reconnect and redirect whatever the conversation is into creating a new opening. So it's interesting in talking about this notion of opening that I'm kind of also talking about shutting down, to notice when we shut down, because a lot of times we're just walled off from the world and experience and we don't even know it. And so this kind of self-observing gives us an opportunity to, or an inroad for that kind of awareness and observation. So Rosalind says, to create a new way of opening, I'm adding vocal toning before my regular meditation. Oh, what a great idea. Sound is so powerful, Rosalind. Good for you. And so Rosalind says the vibrations are supposed to help blossom vision and self-expression from seeds of thoughts. You spoke that so poetically. Thank you for that. And I, when we think about being energy, it makes sense, the sound that we emanate, the vibrations that occur in our bodies as we are speaking, or as we are toning, as we're moving air through our being and our vocal cords, and there's a vibration that occurs throughout our body. It makes sense that that vibration would loosen some other or at the very least impact the rest of our body and being, right? So yeah, I love that, the idea of toning. It really could open up new possibilities. So what you're bringing up really is that we might have rituals that can create openings as well. So for instance, each morning I sit down to prepare to speak with you all and to write down some little description about what we're going to talk about. And the thing is that I have usually I have no clue what we're going to talk about until I sit down and write it. And sometimes I have 5 minutes that I generate and write that. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 10. And it's just fascinating to me that it's almost like my beingness is trained to create that access at this particular time every day. Like this morning I had 3 minutes, and what came up was openings. And so it's fascinating to me, because I do this so routinely, that my consciousness is somehow conditioned to have that opening. Good morning, Kimberly. So good to have you here with us. Kimberly says they're always so appropriate. Good morning. Thank you. It may be that I'm tuning into the field, or I don't know what it is, but I can say that it happens with magical reliability. It's really, really interesting. And seriously, I had 3 minutes this morning, and I was like, well, what if I don't have a topic? And then there it was. And so I think one of the ways, to your point, Rosalind, that we might be able to create an opening is through ritual. And it's interesting to try to use a patterned behavior to break out of a pattern. But I hear about writers who will sit down to write at at a particular time every day, that it's their routine. And it's kind of the same thing that I do with this experience with you every morning. And then things flow. People who meditate at the same time every day, their body, their being gets patterned into knowing that this is an opportunity, this is a time for that kind of presencing, that kind of opening. And so with the toning, you're setting up a field to create openings. Rosalind says, starting my mornings with these core connections invites new ways of thinking. Thank you for these musings. Rosalind, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I think that what we're up to is generating new ways of thinking, that it's so important, that it's the foundation for creating the world that we imagine to be possible. And because we can't get to that place doing the same old, thinking the same old, acting the same old. We get to truly challenge ourselves to come up with ways to recognize our unconscious assumptions about things. So here's an example. I have friends who are very committed to sustainability, and more even to thriving. And they've developed a housing system that is a modular system that is pretty amazing. And now they're in the process of promoting it. And they're promoting it in a way that is promoting exponential growth of this, like saying, okay, you buy one and you can rent it out and it can generate revenue, and then you can have enough revenue to buy another one and you can rent it out, and then you can have enough revenue to buy 2 more, and then 4 more, and then 8 more. And this is the model that they're creating for prosperity and somewhat passive income, right? But the thing is, like, I looked at this and my response was, that's not sustainable. And it's not good for the earth to be talking about this unending exponential growth. This is an underlying assumption that is a deep, deep, deep violation of, these are my opinions. Okay, so that's the caveat here. They don't agree with me, obviously. But first of all, if we're going to be developing, we need to be looking at where we're developing and how that development works into the natural landscape. And exponential growth is not something that occurs in nature unchecked, except in cancer, right? Like there is a period of growth and expansion, and then there's a period of balancing. And the thing is that, for me anyway, to be perpetuating this old notion of more is better, acquisition, exponential growth. To me, it's important to be looking at the bigger picture and to say, not to be appealing to our greed and the things that have motivated so much of the abuse of our resources. So openings, like, there, some of these assumptions, people are saying, well, wait, it's a really good product, it's eco-friendly and better for us, the people that are concerned about sustainability and thrivability and caring for the planet, better that we should be able to have some financial influence in the world, than people who aren't mindful of these things. And yet the model is the model of everything that got us to where we are to begin with. So, where do you create an opening? How do you find an opening in this way of thought to be able to recognize what the implications might be? And so I'm going to we can close that little piece and then go look at the heart opening, which is kind of a whole different conversation, but opening is a really broad conversation anyway, right? We can apply it in so many ways. So heart opening, this was a very, very interesting thing. And again, there's a ritual approach that I used toward this. I don't know if any of you have experience with cacao and cacao ceremony, and I'm just beginning to learn about it and to start connecting with cacao and some other plant medicines as part of another course I've been taking called Our Natural Rites of Passage, which is, it's a beautiful course, and talking about all these different passages that we move through in our lives over time and how they are represented in different cultures and different cultural rituals and practices. Anyway, so I'm learning about blue lotus flower and rose. Rose is related to love, and the blue lotus is about connecting, third eye connection, lucid dreaming, and cacao is connecting to Mother Earth and opening the heart. And so I did my version, and probably a very ignorant but well-intended version of a cacao ceremony for myself, and experienced a pretty profound opening of my heart and connection to the earth and to what she may be experiencing on this planet, you know, in this time of all kinds of change, and also just feeling the overwhelm of all of the transformations that we're all experiencing weather-wise, and all the damage that we're doing to the planet. Anyway, it was a very profound experience for me. And so that's another way that we can create openings, is through making a sacred ritual. And we can, whether it's just breathing, you know, whether it's something like putting our attention on our breath. I've spoken before about how the quickest way for me to find an opening of my heart is by presencing myself to beauty. That there's a visceral experience of heart opening for me in the experience of the awe and wonder that beauty provides me. And cultivating that access, cultivating the ability to move into that space of deep appreciation and curiosity and wonder. I think that creates an opening. Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools. I'm gaining such a much greater reverence for curiosity as a profound transformational tool. Maybe we get to talk about that on another morning. It's rather than being in our reactions or our judgments, or even when we're in our reactions and our judgments, when we're able to cultivate curiosity, it transforms everything. curiosity is a vehicle through which we can very readily move into the observer mode, I think, without, there's a lightness to it. There's a playfulness to it, an innocence to it. So maybe we get to talk more about that in another time. But as far as openings go, we talk about open your mind. What does it mean? What does it mean to open your mind? Years and years and years ago, I read the book Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, and it was about mescaline experience and his revelation that the mind functions as a limiter, as a filter of experience, rather than something that is expansive, rather than something that is experiencing all these things. It's really sorting and filtering our experience so that we can function. If we were just in awe of nature all the time, we would never eat or sleep or do the things that we might need to do for survival. And so being able to dispense with a lot of information is what enables us to function effectively in the world. And yet at times, and yet it keeps us separate in many ways from the richness of the experience that's available to us. So, yeah, openings. Openings mean opening our mind, opening our heart. And sometimes we can actually feel the sensation of that. That there is a sensation that goes along with opening of the heart. With cacao, it was explained to me that in fact, traditional ceremonial cacao and in a ceremonial dose actually expands the blood vessels, literally opens the heart. And it's subtle and yet not so subtle at all. It's interesting, the things we call subtle. Anyway, that's it for this morning's musings about openings and curiosity. So with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern each weekday morning. Good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us, as always. And thank you, everybody else who's joined us. And until next time, I encourage you to check out the other awesome programming on EWN, Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also Enlightened World Living. And until next time, so much love to you.